Two Logan teenagers are in police custody after a death in the Hocking Hills. President Trump threatens more sanctions against Turkey. And in sports, a basketball meet and greet introduces a new superstar to Athens. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Ben Schwartz. Thank you for joining us. Another person has died as a result of Friday's crash on U.S. Route 33 near Johnson Road. 23-year-old John Douglas Fitch died at Grant Medical Center over the weekend. 19-year-old Connor Sievers died at the scene, according to the patrol release. Both were students at Hocking College. Hocking County law enforcement is investigating 3 overdose incidents that happened on Saturday night. The Hocking County Sheriff's Office believes the overdoses are linked to a narcotics dealer who lives in Logan, Ohio. NBC4 reports that Hocking County is the 3rd Central Ohio county to report a spike in overdoses in the last 3 weeks. 2 weeks ago, 10 overdose deaths were reported in 26 hours in Franklin County, and last week Ross County issued a warning after an increase in overdose deaths. 2 Logan, Ohio teens are in juvenile detention after allegedly admitting to sending a log down a cliff, which then landed on and killed a mother of 4 last month. Karen Johnson has the story.
Photography was Victoria Schaefer's passion. She was doing what she loved when she was hit by a log at Old Man's Cave and died.
I don't really need anything, just some answers.
When Victoria's husband Fritz spoke to us last month, he didn't have any answers. Now family and friends do. Tara Gillum was working at Steiner's Speakeasy last night when she and her customers heard the news. 2 teens arrested in connection with her friend's death.
It was shock because as much as I wanted answers and everybody wanted answers, I don't know that I thought that we were going to get any. And then relief, it was like a good solid 5 minutes of, I can't believe this is real.
The Hocking County prosecutor says 2 16-year-olds from Logan, Ohio, which is near Hocking Hills, admitted to forcing a 74-pound log off a cliff. It fell more than 75 feet and hit Schaefer as she was taking senior photos for a group of high school students. Afterwards, Victoria's husband had put out a plea for help on WLWT.
Well, I just want anybody that was here or there on Labor Day, even if it was earlier in the day, to just call the DNR or call, if you prefer to call Crime Stoppers.
Information received from the public led investigators to the teenagers. Investigators say they received a tip about a text message one of the teens sent to a classmate saying he and a friend did something serious at the park. The boys were arraigned today. As the legal process progresses, those close to Victoria say she would be the first to forgive.
And last night, when people in here were talking about it, that seemed to be the reoccurring thing.
The teens each face a charge of reckless homicide. However, the prosecutor says that could change as more information comes in. The names of the 16-year-olds have not been released because they are minors.
Hello, I'm forecaster Adlai Karwish here, and today it was a pretty nice day outside. 63 degrees with humidity at 35%, pressure also at 30.06, and pretty windy outside. Winds coming from the west at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Taking a look now at the southeastern Ohio area, Chillicothe at 63, Jackson at 63, New Lexington at 62. So all around, it's quite sunny outside, almost not a cloud in the sky, but also all the mid to low 60s all around the area. Moving forward tonight, 37 degrees. It's going to be a heavy coat night, so make sure you bring a nice coat if you're going to walk around tonight, especially even in towards the later hours of the night. It will be clear though, so don't worry about any rain or anything. That's not coming till later. Winds coming out the north-northeast at 0 to 5 miles per hour. And Ben, let me tell you, it's going to be a pretty nice day on Tuesday, but then the rain starts to come back around and it starts getting pretty cold. Only the high in the 50s coming coming Wednesday.
Yeah, and I'm sure most people are not ready for all that cold weather, but getting ready for Halloween at least.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adelaide. A federal judge is being asked to block an Ohio law requiring paid petition circulators to fill out forms disclosing their identities. An attorney for Ohioans against corporate bailouts argued Friday that the disclosure law is a burden on free speech. The move is being led by a group seeking a statewide vote next year to overturn a financial rescue for Ohio's 2 nuclear power plants approved in July. They have until October 21st to submit their petitions. More than half of West Virginia's teachers missed more than 10 days of school last year, according to the state's Department of Education. The department's data shows 52% of teachers missing more than 10 days, which is a slight increase from previous years. State Superintendent Steve Payne says teachers have a stressful job, but some are missing too much school. The percentage of teachers who missed more than 20 days last year was nearly 11%. The city of Zanesville is looking to apply for grant funding for airport improvements. The Zanesville Times Recorder reports the city is looking for just over $200,000 for the improvements, including the removal of trees and crack sealing on some runways. The projects are estimated to cost $211,000, with $190,000 coming from a Federal Aviation Administration grant if accepted. The 2020 Democratic candidates are getting ready to travel to Ohio for the presidential debate. The debate will take place tomorrow at Otterbein University in Westerville, Ohio, near Columbus. The event will feature 12 candidates and start at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. To qualify, the candidates had to meet a donor requirement and one of the 2 polling thresholds. Several candidates were in Ohio this weekend getting ready for the main event. But while they prepare to take the stage, so is one Otterbein University alum. Jordan Donica will be singing the national anthem before the debate. Donica graduated from the school in 2016 and has performed in several Broadway productions. And coming up, President Trump increases sanctions against Turkey. And a Texas police officer resigns after killing a woman in her home. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Genoa, Italy. Without warning. A deadly bridge collapse. Who's to blame? And are we at risk?
We have had over 24 bridges fail in the United States since 2000.
Inside the global race to save our bridges.
We have a significant challenge.
Why bridges collapse on Nova.
The Amazon. Humans have never set eyes on parts of this jungle until now. A team of naturalists and filmmakers are going to wire this wilderness, top to bottom. Remotely operated cameras will record everything 24/7. It's a wildlife filmmaking first.
That is remarkable.
Can a decades-old murder shed light on the way we react to violence on the internet?
We're all bystanders on social media.
How is a drug that shook up the status quo in the 60s now upending modern medicine?
I tuned into the world, to me, to things I used to love.
Plus, humorous Andy Borowitz. Those stories and more. Retro Report on PBS.
As our cities expand, their wilderness is getting smaller. But for the animals who were here long before our city streets, these strong survivors of an ever-changing world have learned to do whatever it takes, not only to survive, but to thrive in this new urban jungle we all call home, the wild metropolis.
President Trump has announced his plan to sign an executive order authorizing new sanctions against Turkey over the country's invasion into Syria. The president tweeted earlier today saying, quote, "I am fully prepared to swiftly destroy Turkey's economy if Turkish leaders continue down this dangerous and destructive path." And while many Republicans are standing by Trump's decision, some others are saying they won't help the problem.
Well, we'll see what the sanctions are, but it's not going to solve the problem. The problem has already been created by the president giving Turkey a green light to invade Syria. And they took advantage of that green light, and now we have this terrible problem.
The move comes a week after President Trump announced the repositioning of several dozen U.S. troops in northern Syria. President Trump's former top national security specialist on Russia is kicking off a crucial week in the House's impeachment inquiry. Fiona Hill left the administration in June. Hill is the first former White House official to agree to comply with White House Democrats' impeachment inquiry. Later this week, lawmakers plan to question Gordon Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the European Union. The Washington Post reports Sondland plans to tell lawmakers that his denial of a quid pro quo with Ukraine was directed to him by President Trump. The Fort Worth police officer who shot and killed a woman inside her home has now resigned. Erin Dean is white, the woman he killed was black, and her family says they want the investigation to address police relations in the black community as a whole.
What started as a call of concern
I'm calling about my neighbor.
escalated to calls for answers.
No peace!
Over the weekend, 28-year-old Tatiana Jefferson, playing video games with her 8-year-old nephew in her own home, was shot to death by police.
It's beyond me to begin to understand what kind of police force responds to a wellness call with the equivalent of SWAT.
A recording of the non-emergency call from neighbor James Smith sets the scene.
What's going on there? Well, the front doors have been open since 10 o'clock, and I haven't seen anybody moving around.
Edited police body camera video shows Officer Erin Dean approaching and walking around the house and nearing a window.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
Shooting seconds later. Police say they have heard many calls from the community demanding a speedy investigation.
I have reached out to the Texas Rangers and we discussed that. However, at this point, they have not committed to anything. Bringing them in this late after the investigation started is not ideal for them.
Chief Krause said had the officer not resigned, he would have been fired. While the investigation continues, there is another result.
I don't know if I should call if I need help.
The neighbor who requested police check on the home says he now regrets trying to help. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
Vandals covered a Christopher Columbus statue in red paint Sunday to protest Columbus Day. The statue stands outside Coit Tower in San Francisco, a popular place to watch the Blue Angels perform. The vandalism occurred overnight Saturday and included a sign that read, "Kill all colonizers." A public works crew arrived by 3:30 p.m. to clean the statue for observances today. And in Virginia, a statue of Stonewall Jackson is once again the target of vandalism. They found the noses of two figures have been damaged further. A piece of paper was also taped over a nearby sign with 1619, the year the first slave ship arrived in Virginia. Granite around the statue's base had apparently been chipped away at sometime last month as well. The planned removal of the statue, along with another of Robert E. Lee, prompted a deadly white nationalist rally in Charlottesville in 2017. Pro-democracy protesters gathered in Hong Kong's Chater Garden on Monday, calling on the U.S. Congress to pass the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act. Hong Kong's government released a statement on the matter, quote, expressing regret over the demonstrations and reiterating that foreign governments should not interfere in Hong Kong's internal affairs. U.S. Congress is expected to vote on the bill either Tuesday or Wednesday in Washington, D.C. Coming up on Newswatch, we take a look at how owning one type of pet can add years to your life.
And coming up next on weather, it's going to be a nice day on Tuesday, but rain's coming on Wednesday. And now here's your stats of local interest.
Are your ducks in a row? Almost half of Americans do not have a proper estate plan. Estate plans are more than matters of money and inheritance. They can guide your future health decisions and provide special instructions for loved ones in your care. Put your mind at ease by getting your ducks in a row today.
I will nominate Judge Brett Kavanaugh.
A Supreme Court face-off, 30 years in the making.
You will see a system that has become toxic.
When Bork got taken down, they promised never to forget.
It was raw politics, and it was war.
Mitch McConnell is a tactical genius.
We're not giving a lifetime appointment to this president on the way out the door.
Unprecedented.
Democrats are outraged.
We're living in the era of the McConnell court now.
Think Wednesday on PBS. For stories from the world around us. Stories of hidden cameras.
We're likely to see some really exciting behavior.
Crumbling infrastructure.
We have had over 24 bridges fail.
And urban dwellers.
Life in the big city is complicated.
For stories that get you closer to life. Think Wednesday, starting at 8/7 Central. Think PBS. Can a decades-old murder shed light on the way we react to violence on the internet?
We're all bystanders on social media.
How is a drug that shook up the status quo in the 60s now upending modern medicine?
I tuned into the world, to me, to things I used to love.
Plus, humorous Andy Borowitz. Those stories and more. Retro Report on PBS.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I am Adlai Karwish, and we're going to take a look right now at southeastern Ohio. Athens at 63, Ripley at 64, New Lexington at 62, Columbus also at 62, and Chillicothe at 63. So right now, all in the area, pretty sunny outside, and all in the mid to low 60s in the area. Taking out the big U.S. temp map, it's pretty typical for this time of year. It's still pretty hot down in the south, over in Florida, and even parts of Georgia. But up and towards the east, southern Ohio area, it's actually pretty warm. And we could see that 70 little band there. As you get sort of more north, you get to see a little bit colder. Some of that green over there. Some of that in the 50s over there. Taking a look at tonight, 37 degrees. It's going to be clear and cold. It's going to be one of those nights that you might actually want to pull out your heavy coat for the first time this year. Like I said, 37 degrees, winds coming out of the north-northeast at 0 to 5 miles per hour. Tonight, all around southeastern Ohio, Jackson at 38, Athens at 38, New Lexington at 38 as well. Columbus also at 38. So only Ripley is the one that actually doesn't get down to the 30s at 40 degrees. But all around, it's going to be a clear night, but it's going to be quite cold as everyone except for Ripley is going to get into the 30s. Tomorrow, it's going to actually be a nice sunny day, pretty normal fall day, maybe a little bit warmer, 73 degrees. It's a great day to go on a walk, especially during the midday as well. Winds coming from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Just all around a pretty good day outside. Taking a look tomorrow, all around southeastern Ohio, Jackson at 74. Ripley gets up to 78 degrees, which is pretty warm for this time of year. Columbus gets up to 74. New Lexington at 72. So all from the low 70s to even upper 70s for tomorrow, and pretty sunny outside. You may see one or two clouds, but there is a high pressure system over the area, so it won't cause too much cloud cover today. Tomorrow night, 50 degrees. It's going to be clear after midnight, but rain's going to come after midnight. For tomorrow night, a low will be 50 degrees, so not as bad as tonight, but it will still be raining. Moving forward, you're going to look at the Wednesday morning, 56 degrees at 6 a.m. It's going to be rain. Storms are possible. At 8 a.m., it's going to drop down to 51 degrees and even some more rain. But by 10 a.m., it's going to be 50 degrees, and that rain's going to push out Wednesday morning. So be prepared for that if you have to drive or walk. Wednesday, 54 degrees. There's going to be some morning rain, but the sun's going to pop out later in the day, but mostly cloudy for most of the day. Taking a look now at the precip map, moving forward here, high pressure all the way over there, but then you see that rain tomorrow night. That rain's going to be pushing into that southeastern Ohio area. Moving forward, let's take a look at your 7-day outlook here. 7-day outlook here. It's a 7-day outlook here. 73 here, and even in Wednesday, 54, 55 on Thursday. So it gets pretty cold midway through the week, but the weekend looking quite nice. I'll send it back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Adelaide. Not every dog can be a lifesaver like Lassie, but according to new research, owning a dog can reduce the chances of dying early. In today's Health Minute, Meredith Wood gives more insight into what they bring to us.
Getting a belly rub. They're called man's best friend for many reasons. And here's one more for you. Owning a dog can reduce the chance of dying early. A study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association combed through 70 years of research involving nearly 4 million people in several countries. The result? They found owning a dog was linked to a 24% reduction in all mortality causes. And for people who suffered a heart attack or stroke, having a 4-legged companion reduced their risk of dying from cardiovascular disease by 31%. This was echoed by a second study that found people who own dogs had better health outcomes after suffering a stroke or heart attack. It's unclear exactly what the link is, but there are guesses. For instance, increased activity. The American Heart Association points to a study that found pet owners who walk their dogs get 30 more minutes of exercise per day than those who don't walk. And other studies have found that just petting a dog or having a canine companion can reduce your blood pressure and reduce anxiety and depression. For today's Health Minute, I'm Meredith Wood.
And I'm now joined by our sports director, Thomas Garverick. Thomas, it was a very busy weekend for Ohio sports.
Yeah, it was indeed. Of course, the Ohio soccer team played yesterday, and then the football team playing in their annual homecoming game. But Northern Illinois spoiled the Bobcats' big game on Saturday, Ben. And right after the break, we'll have the highlights from the Huskies come from behind victory when Newswatch returns.
But first, stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
I will nominate Judge Brett Kavanaugh.
A Supreme Court face-off, 30 years in the making.
You will see a system that has become toxic.
When Bork got taken down, they promised never to forget.
It was raw politics, and it was war.
Mitch McConnell is a tactical genius.
We're not giving lifetime appointments to this president on the way out the door.
Unprecedented.
Democrats are outraged.
We're living in the era of the McConnell court now.
Do you think you're paranoid?
No, I'm not. For decades, residents of this Arab American neighborhood have suspected they were under surveillance. They were right.
So I found 1,000 pages of declassified FBI documents. What happened?
جو عند الباب واحد يطبطب قال اسمي باب قال لي بنتك اللي دير دوكيومنتري قلت له ايه. The feeling of being watched on POV.
As our cities expand, their wilderness is getting smaller. But for the animals who were here long before our city streets, these strong survivors of an ever-changing world have learned to do whatever it takes, not only to survive, but to thrive in this new urban jungle we all call home, the wild metropolis.
Genoa, Italy. Without warning. A deadly bridge collapse. Who's to blame? And are we at risk?
We have had over 24 bridges fail in the United States since 2000.
Inside the global race to save our bridges.
We have a significant challenge.
Why bridges collapse on Nova.
Welcome back. I'm Thomas Garvick. Ohio was headed for a win on homecoming until Northern Illinois decided to rain on the Bobcats' homecoming parade. Ohio led 21-10 at the break, but the Huskies, they came storming back. Ross Bowers to Tyrus Ritchie. No one's going to catch him. Northern Illinois scored 19 unanswered to take a 29-21 lead in the fourth quarter. Ohio scored a touchdown. Here's the two-point conversion to tie the game. Nathan Rourke to Julian Ross. He's in. We're tied at 29, but the next Husky drive, they find pay dirt again. It's Trey Harbison punching it in. Huskies back up 36-29, but the Ohio offense would not go quietly. Nathan Rourke drops back to pass, launches it for his guy. Shane Hooks makes the play, dragging one Husky, not two, but three into the end zone. We're all tied up at 36, but the Huskies, they get the final possession of the game. Here's the kick for the win at the horn, and it is good. The Huskies come back to beat Ohio 39-36 on homecoming.
Walked out thinking that we were the better team, but we just didn't play up to our potential. And that's what's most frustrating, is that I feel like we know what we're all about, and we know how talented we are and how good of a team we are. We just haven't been able to show it.
Yeah, well, it is frustrating, but it's where we're at, and so we got to dig ourselves out of the hole that we're in, and just continue to stay together, continue to move forward.
Goals have been hard to come by for the Ohio soccer team as of late. Ohio back at Chesapeake Field Sunday against Buffalo in slick pink unis supporting breast cancer, but Ohio's offense couldn't find the net. Nice touch from Abby Townsend to Serena Derrick, but how about that? Emily Kelly denies the opportunity. The Bulls strike first in this one. The first one, Catherine Camper, gorgeous finish with the left foot. Bulls up 1-0. Then later, it's Andrea Judays off the deflection. Tough break for Ohio. Ohio falls 2-0. For the first time ever, Ohio held the Bobcats on the Blacktop event before Ohio's homecoming game on Saturday. A chance for fans to meet the women's and men's basketball teams. The event featured a three-point shooting contest that gave OU students the opportunity to compete with the likes of Jordan Dardis and Erica Johnson, and of course Rufus. But who really stole the show was this young man named Dallas. He's the little brother of Ohio football running back Julian Ross. He might just be a future Bobcat, who knows? But here's where sports are bigger than the game. Nolan Foster gives Dallas a moment he won't forget.
Meeting a kid like Dallas, man, even all the little kids, just coming out to have the opportunity to be around college players. I know when I was younger, I never really had this opportunity, so I can feel their energy, you know what I mean? They're just really ecstatic about today and just excited just to be around us, so I think it's just a blessing.
I got younger siblings, I got a niece. They all look up to me, and the little things matter to them the most. The things that we think are the smallest, they might stick with them for a lifetime. So I just like putting smiles on little kids' faces. Dallas is Julian's younger brother, so I know Julian to be proud, and it was just great to have it out here.
And so, Ben, a little bit more about Dallas. He's 4 years old, so absolutely adorable. I actually thought he was like 6 or 7, but yeah, I actually talked to Julian after the game. As I mentioned, Julian's older brother plays for the football team, and he told me, and I quote, Dallas is probably our biggest fan of the team. So it's really cool when you see the athletes getting to bond with little kids like that.
Yes, that is completely adorable and such a heartwarming story. Thank you, Thomas. One sign has made a big difference to children battling life-threatening diseases. Carson King handed over a $3 million check Friday to the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital. The 24-year-old started the campaign after his sign featured on one of ESPN's College Game Day show garnered national attention. He originally was asking for beer money, but after receiving more donations than he expected, King decided to use the money for something good. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.
Think Wednesday on PBS. For stories from the world around us. Stories of hidden cameras.
We're likely to see some really exciting